Hello, you're watching Sammy Spotlight. I'm your host, Nicholas Pola, and today we have Gabriel Ortiz. He's the Secretary of Teak. Stay tuned. All right, nice to have you on the show. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. You too.
So you're Secretary of Teak, correct?
Correct.
I know each fraternity has their own core values and what uh, they like to speak to their potential rushes about. Can you explain what Teak is and what its core values are?
What Teak is it's brotherhood. It's a collection of us just coming together and having a support system and establishing improvement and obviously a culture to the new guys saying, hey, look, this is what we want. This is our expectations. If you want to be a part of it, come around. And that's part of our core values too. And of course, leadership. With the positions we have, and I mean, just overall, we're there for a reason. We pay to be there, so we can put it to good use and just improvement.
So, what are those things that the pledges have to buy into and live by while they're in Teak?
The one thing they have to buy into is what we see is what we had to put to them. Like, hey, look, we got like community service. We have hours. You want them to be a part of that. But hey, look, this is a good way to put yourself out there and put us out there, and just kind of establishing again culture and what we want from them as much as they want from us. Establishing that fine line.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome. So, what is your community outreach and the fundraisers that you have to support those outreaches?
Our outreach is, of course, fundraising. Last semester we did our philanthropy at St. Jude, so we did tamales. This semester we have our own Teak Week coming up pretty soon around like April, so that's kind of our way of putting our outreach. So we got fundraising like pie a teak, ribbons or buttons, just stuff like that. That's kind of how we do things. Of course, putting out social media, donations, stuff like that. Putting good causes.
Sure. Is there anything unique that you've done to fundraise for St. Jude? I know a lot of fraternities and sororities in Greek life have super unique ways that they fundraise money.
One of the unique ways that I've been told is to save a shave. Is basically each member or some members, have a bid on their head, or whoever gets the most money on their head or on that person, basically just shaves their head off. So it's one of probably the most unique ways, and I think it's pretty interesting.
Awesome. Would you ever be down to do that at some point?
I mean, I like my hair, but if it's for the kids, I don't see why not. But
awesome. Yeah. So recently you had your rush week. What events did you do, and what was the reaction around it?
We had a lot of events. So we had volleyball, we had like some cookout, we had a watch party, we had just a couple just traditional games and stuff like that. There's a lot of events I can't even remember, but it was just it was a lot of collections. A lot of the new guys came in and like, oh, I really like the vibe around here. It was pretty cool, very opening, and we learned a lot of part of the guys. We learned some of them were pretty athletic. Some of them came to our volleyball event or some philanthropy event, and they're pretty good at it. So that's part of things. Part of what we learned from them and stuff like that, and just having fun overall.
Awesome. So just pretty standard stuff.
Yeah.
Sweet. So how's the process for bid day, and how did that go recently?
Oh, the process. It's so we go to the house, we just kind of hang around, talk to the new guys, bring around the people that come around to us. Then of course we go to like the jump or the pit, and they come out in the tunnel. We go go crazy, go ballistic, traditional frat stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, we just kind of hang out the house, and then go to the the Fox, and just kind of show them a good time and show them what it's actually like to be a part of Teak.
Mm-hmm. So is there I know some fraternities and stuff have like a whole interview process, and then they choose fraternities that they want to be a part of, and the fraternities also get to choose what pledges they want to be a part of them.
Yes, that's like a informal kind of thing. So there's like they have a choice to do what they want. So if they're formal, if I'm correct, It's where they go to each fraternity, see what they're about. Informal, it's like they know who they want to, be with, and they just kind of stick around us.
Okay.
And when we choose them, it's kind of who do we want to, the betterment of our chapter, pretty much.
Sweet. So, this is your first semester as secretary, right? How did you know you wanted to do secretary? How did you get involved with that?
When I first came around last semester, I had no clue. I didn't even have a thought of rushing or joining a fraternity, and then I joined, and then kind of progressed along, and I was like, I really like what these guys are about, and I kind of want to put myself up there for myself and the guys around me. So being secretary was one of the choices, and it's improved my time management, communication. I mean, I have a lot of people texting me like, hey, I can't make this and that, that's kind of what the role is. And so it's kind of funny because at first I just had to like scroll down, say, hey, there's this guy. But now I got to type a guy's name in because there's so many people texting me. That's the funny part of the job. But that at the same time, it's very serious because there's expectations of showing up to events. And if they don't show up, they get fined.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a pretty fun job. It's improved me overall.
Awesome. What's your job as secretary?
So it's setting up, like reminding people of dates. So like, meetings or what, fundraising, and setting up a calendar and reminding them and saying, hey, look, we got this going on. And if they don't show up or send in a notice, then it's kind of like, they get fined. And that's pretty much the job, is just keeping everyone in line and reminding people of what's going on.
And how did you become a secretary? Is there like a whole election process or anything?
Yes, so we get nominated, which I was very surprised I did. I just heard my name. I was like, all right, cool, I'll run for it. So that's what we did. We had our whole election night. We give our speeches, and of course the other candidates, and then we go out of the house. They elect who they want. Who do they, it's not just anyone. It's who's gonna do those procedures, set a standard, and follow through with it. And those guys choose me for a reason, and I take it very seriously.
But what did they see in you that they wanted you to become secretary?
That's a very good question. I've been meaning to ask them that, but we've just been so busy. But from what I understand, they see a leadership, they see commitment, and they see that I will follow things through with, no matter what's going on. You can have a bunch of guys yelling at you, oh, why is this and that? And I'm like, hey, look, you know what it is, and I'm not scared to, put my foot down, respectfully.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. So, what skills have you gained from being in Teak?
Of course, leadership. I've improved on that. Just, being social, talking to people, making my rounds. Hey, how's it going? When we have events, I'm always kind of like, hey, I'll be back. I gotta go talk to this guy, and then just kind of, circle my way around. Time management for sure. With all these rush events, I mean, I had to really plan out my, class schedule, and then with the chapter stuff, and overall, it's improved me. It's, of course, time management, leadership, social. The one thing too, it's made me feel at home. When coming from a small town, coming new to college like you were at one point, it was kind of like scary.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came here, it's made me feel like I have a support system and made me feel welcome.
Awesome. And what's your favorite memory from Teak?
Favorite memory? There's a lot of them. If I had to say my favorite memory, it would probably be my bid day, because it was kind of like our first real getting to know all the guys, getting to know all the people, and enjoying that day. And it's still stuck in my head like it was yesterday, and it's pretty unique to see how fast time comes.
Could you give a description of how that day went for you?
Kind of like what I described bid day, but just a lot of, when you're a pledge, it's very, it's for you. When it's an active brother, like this past bid day, it's it's not more about you, it's more about the pledges. So for my bid day, it was like, hey, just people coming to me, making me feel special, and that's part of the reason why I liked it. Of course, going to the bar, having fun, and just meeting the alumni too, because that's very important too with the chapter. It's kind of why we're there, because of the old guys, and then just that day about you, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. So, what advice do you have for people trying to rush in a fraternity?
That's a good question. My advice is, don't just rush to rush. Rush to the betterment of yourself, because you're paying to be there. Don't just do it because your friend's doing it. Actually, do your research and just say, hey, look, is this going to make me a better person, or am I going to go the opposite way? Because at the end of the day, we all want to be better people, and I think that's really key to, joining a fraternity.
Mm-hmm. Um, so you're a freshman, correct?
Correct.
And you're already secretary of TQ. Where do you see yourself in the future? Do you see yourself moving up the ranks, staying at secretary? Give us your thoughts on what you see
So
yourself in the
far,
future.
when it comes to that, I would say for sure moving up. I don't like staying one space in one spot the whole time. I like to progress forward, of course, improving myself. So when it comes to those ranks, I would like to be either treasurer, VP, president, some more of a leadership role. Because obviously these guys trust me. They elected me my first or second semester here, so that says a lot. So I really want to keep going that way and guide these guys the best way I can down the road.
So do you know any of the specific jobs of what the president does, vice presidents, treasurer, any of the other?
So our president is kind of the exterior, deals with whatever's going outside the chapter, setting stuff up within, events and stuff, talking to IFC and whatever organizations. And then the VP is kind of exterior, setting up our bylaws, our chairs, and making sure everyone's kind of following those procedures. It's kind of like the, of course, whatever's going on in the chapter. And then
Mm-hmm.
our treasurer is kind of the money guy, collects all our dues, make sure everything's within the budget, make sure that obviously we don't go broke. Because, it's a business at the end of the day, so it's very important. Our educator is, of course, guiding those our new pledges to, the right direction, showing them what we're about, and, they report to them, and just, of course, the word in there, educating them about us and, our founding fathers and, just what got us here in the first place. Our safety management is the guy that's just, of course, making sure everything's doing all right at our events, just making sure everyone's doing good. There's people that are allowed to be there, not allowed to be there. Our rush chair, of course, it's making sure, bringing in the new guys. Our hypo or chaplain guy is making sure everyone's good on their grades, making sure the morale is good, just, making sure there's no negative energy there, because, of course, we don't want that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's about other positions I could really think of right now, but yeah.
Awesome. So how much do you have to pay to be in TEAC? And of course, we're all college students. The term broke college students isn't something. Something a lot of us have to deal with. So if somebody can't pay that due, also, is there any ways they can get around it, like scholarships or someone else helping someone out?
Yes, so when it comes to payment, obviously that's very important. The amount, it just depends on the year, depending on the members and stuff like that. So we can break it up into like a whole amount for the year. So we can, if you pay the whole amount and you do it before bid day, we get a certain percentage off. If you do it by month, then it's a lot cheaper. It spreads out your money. It's like, that's the payment plan I do, because it's a lot easier and I'm pretty smart with my money. But when it comes to people not paying it, we're very relaxed, but at the same time, we're like, okay, we understand. But, if it goes over a certain amount, then we're like, okay, I think it's best for you to just take a break, pay it off, and then whenever you're ready, come back, because it's just going to snowball. And I've seen people do that, where they just keep collecting money, and mentally they just don't do okay, and that's just not right, because we care for those guys. And then scholarship, our nationals has a scholarship for the guys, for older guys, newer guys, leadership roles too. Like, they go to events, but there's opportunities everywhere to pay off those dues.
Mm-hmm. So I know there's a lot of baggage around Greek life as a whole. A lot of people are worried about hazing, sexual assault, stuff like that. What would you tell people to ease their fears of joining a Greek life organization?
Times have changed. There's no reason to haze. I didn't get hazed. Our new guys are getting hazed. We're very strict on that. We say, hey, look, there's just no reason. I understand people will have worries about it, and I think part for us to do is to really present that, because a lot of people, when they see fraternities, they think, oh, it's just a bunch of guys, having their hat backwards and frat flicking.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not true at all. It's you really dive deep into it. It's the services, community service, taking care of our guys, and you know, that's kind of the thing we want to do, is present that, you know, hazing is just not it anymore, and
Mm-hmm.
just to really dive deep into that whenever they talk to guys and stuff like that.
All right. Well, I think we're out of time. Thank you
Yeah,
for
no problem.
coming on the show. You've been watching Sammy Spotlight. We'll see you on the next episode.